pack. Food and friends with Canada's best. From east to west, there and back. Eat North Variety Pack. 'Cause variety's the spice of life.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Eat North Variety Pack. If you haven't watched the show before, please make sure to hit subscribe below. We have this show happening every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Tons of fun. Variety Pack is a mixed bag. We talk food, drinks, music, art, culture, and a ton more. It's time to bring my two co-hosts, Mairlyn Smith and Carmen Cheng. Hello, ladies.
Hello, and you know what, Clapson, we can't see you.
Oh, you can't see me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, trust that I am on screen with you. So I think that sometimes we run the show through Skype, and sometimes Skype is, let's be honest, it is not the most progressive streaming service. So no tea, no shade.
As long as our audience can see you.
Anyway, so it's we'll talk about this in a bit, but it's our first anniversary. So we actually turned 1 today, which is quite exciting. So cheers to that. Happy anniversary, you two.
Happy anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
A year.
Yes, a year. It's crazy that we're still locked up in our own homes. But I think before we dive into all of that and looking back on the past year, I think we should talk about a lot of recent events that have happened. And obviously, this should be at the forefront of most people's minds. But the terrorist attack that happened in Atlanta, targeting Asian women, there were 8 fatalities. It was global news and obviously very, very sad news. But this is obviously something that we should talk about and kick off the show with. So Carmen, I'll let you lead this.
Yeah, and I think I really like how you said, it should be top of mind for a lot of folks.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I think it's not. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about is as an Asian Canadian, I have been posting about hate crimes against Asians for a bit now. And I've had coworkers reach out to me to say, like, you know what, if it weren't for your post, like, I wouldn't have heard anything about this.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have seen this. If you're not dialed into U.S. news, you might not have seen it. And so that is one thing that's been frustrating is I think the Asian community has been talking a lot about this, and the Atlanta murders was horrible. I mean, you think about 8 people had died as a result of the shooting, and 6 of them were Asian women, and the law enforcement officer is making excuses for the shooter, right? Like he's having a bad day, or it's because of his sex addiction, he needed to get rid of his temptations. Like, we're humanizing this person who is really like a terrorist that has gone and targeted these spas that were Asian owned and has murdered 8 people, which is a mass shooting in my mind. But I mean, when you think about how the media has been treating this, and you think about how the root cause of this, because I feel like a year ago we were having a very similar conversation about Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely.
And I think some of the root causes, like, we dehumanize races of people in many different ways. And when we talk about the Asian community as an example, and if we were to bring it to food, I mean, recently we've seen a lot of stories around MSG. Mm-hmm. And trying to debunk this myth around MSG. And as somebody who posts a lot about food, I get messages all the time when I post about like Chinese restaurants or instant noodles from a Japanese place where people are like, that's great, does it have MSG in it? But no one ever reaches out to me when I'm posting about a chicken sandwich and they're going, does it have MSG in it, right? And yet that KFC chicken sandwich or the McDonald's chicken sandwich pretty much does, or like Doritos chips. It's MSGs in like a lot of different things, but you can see how there's certain stereotypes that are placed on a race of people. I mean, absolutely. I got into discussions online about characters you see in media, like Fook You, Fook Me from, I forget what movie that was, or like Ling Ling Bling Bling. Mm-hmm. And they serve to dehumanize a race. And in food, we see that often even with restaurants that come up. I mean, there was a restaurant in Calgary that had a drinks list.
Yes.
And they named their cocktails after characters that were Asian characters that were poking fun at the Asians. So Ling Ling Bling Bling was a name of one of their cocktails. Right?
Which I will say, like, that was one of the primary reasons why I never ate at Mr. Chen's at that restaurant in Mission, which is now closed. But it's interesting to think, if that restaurant was open now, could you imagine the backlash it would have this week, these past few weeks? It would probably be under much scrutiny. But why didn't that happen, 2 years ago?
And that's exactly it. I think that we just accept a lot of these things that are the case. And I think sometimes we say, well, it's an American issue, and it isn't. And I think you have some graphics to show. But in Canada, we've seen an increase of hate crimes against the Asian community. Canada's actually per capita the highest in terms of the increase in hate crimes against the Asian community within the last year. And in major centers in Canada, we've seen a 600 to 700% increase in hate crimes. And so it is mind-boggling. And I think now we're starting to see a lot of communities, particularly even Asian communities in food, come together. And Trevor Louie, who we had on the show from Ontario, has been very outspoken. And one of the things I've loved about what he's been doing is he's been promoting, like food that he's eaten and cooked when he was younger, to try and, again, like debunk some of the Chinese food myths that it's greasy or that it's cheap. And he's been showcasing some of these like wonderful dishes that a lot of people in mainstream don't even know about, right? And it's been very inspiring. And in Alberta, we actually put out a call. A group of us had talked about what can we do in food to promote solidarity against Asian hate crimes, or even just against racism in general. And we put out a call to a few of the Asian restaurateurs and business owners and chefs that we know in Alberta, and 60 people like right away said, I'm in. And so we have a campaign that's going to come out after midnight tonight, but we get the scoop here on Eat North.
We have a graphic of that right now. I think we'll show.
Yeah, where we have 60 Asians from the Alberta food community that are coming together and really uniting around anti-racism, just in general. But I don't know, Mairlyn, yourself or Dan, have you seen any other comments, commentary, or narrative around this event?
So no, I haven't here in Ontario. But from a personal standpoint, I was raised in the East End of Vancouver, and so half my neighborhood was Asian. So I grew up with Asians, Italians, like it was a very eclectic neighborhood. And when I was a little girl, I wanted to marry Russell Chow, and he told me he wasn't allowed to marry me because I wasn't Asian, and I didn't even know that we were different when I was little. And then when I was in high school, I wanted to marry this other guy, and his name was David Lee, and he goes, "You can't marry me because your name would be Mairlyn Lee because my middle name is Lee." So when I hear about these hate crimes, it touches my heart, because I know people say, when people have said they're colorblind, they go, no, you're not. You're coming from a white privileged background, and so you don't see. And I don't see because I have been in that white privilege. Because now, Tracy Moore from Cityline has done an amount for Black Lives Matter, and it has educated me. And I think that's what the whole thing is. And I'm continually learning. And so I don't know what else. I don't know what I can do aside from stand up for what I believe in, and stand up, if you're in a crowd or at a party or at a business meeting, whenever that's going to happen again, and somebody says something hateful about any race, is that you cannot remain silent. And it's the silence, I think, that has allowed all of this to happen over the many, many years. And so the only way that we can change it is if we all become that one voice. And so anytime I hear anything derogatory about any race, I stand up. I mean, group of people at a barbecue, somebody makes a derogatory, I go, hey, you know what? That's really offside. I don't like that. And I've been, Mairlyn's all, but I think it brings to light that people don't even know that they're doing what they're doing, So I think it's all about education. It takes a really long time to erase evil. But I just keep thinking, on the news they showed, somebody was saying that they were being spit on. Old, and I thought, if somebody spat on my mom, like this is somebody's mother. Like we're human, we're moms and dads and brothers and sisters. And so I'm just appalled. I'm appalled and horrified. Yeah.
Well, and to make it really personal, I think that's a really good point. I called my grandmother this week, and she lives in Vancouver's Chinatown for as long as I can remember. And I called her and I said, are you going out? Because she hurt herself a little while ago. And I said, I really hope you're not going out right now, because it's not safe for you to do so. And isn't that sad? Because this is a neighborhood that she's lived in for at least 30 years. This has been her community. And, and we're saying that it's not safe for you to go walk in your neighborhood, because you might be spat at, you might be attacked, or worse.
Awful. It's awful. I'm embarrassed for people, and it embarrasses me that they're a fellow Canadian. I'm horrified.
That's the thing too, and I second that 100%, obviously. And it's just, I think it's so wild that, almost a year ago we were talking, we actually took a pause on the live stream to recalibrate for a week and come back and talk about, the anti-racism movements and just racism in general, and how the lack of diversity that there is clearly in all industries in the world, and then now we're still talking about this, but this time it's not focused on Black people, it's focused on Asian people, and it's like what is wrong with the world, and how can we be better, and I
Sure.
think it comes down to conversations like this, and there's no easy answer. It's really upsetting, and I've said this a lot in interviews, but after those initial anti-racism movements of last year, I think about diversity every single day with everything that I do, and I know that I can be better at showcasing it and do better just in my personal life and everything. Like, Mairlyn, do you feel like that? Like, I feel like every day I think about it, and this is just another reminder of why we should think about it every day.
And I like what you say, because I think it is a shift in mindset, right?
Mm-hmm,
and I think
100%.
when we talk about Black Lives Matter, and we talk about anti-Asian hate crimes,
Mm-hmm.
we talk about any sort of hate crime, it all stems from the same issue. And it's not just about white people, right? The thing is that we've grown up and we've developed this mindset that's a white supremacist mindset,
Mm-hmm.
A patriarchal mindset. And it kind of governs how our systems run, and it governs our thinking. And so the things that we're saying in terms of like what you can do to support Asians right now are the same things we can do to support the Black community.
Absolutely.
And there really needs to be some solidarity and unity just across the board, no matter, to your point, like no matter the race.
We're all human, and we're in this together, and we better support each other, because if we don't, we're
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And this is a really important topic, and obviously an intense one, and we will continue to talk about this in the coming weeks. We have several guests coming up in the next month or two that can also speak to, the lack of diversity in, again, a variety of industries and whatnot. But yes, it's a tough conversation, and I'm happy that you brought this up, Carmen. You're obviously very passionate about this, as you should be, as we all should be. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Alberta movement will do. I think it will have hopefully profound effects in our local community.
Thank you.
it takes one voice. And so, and if we're all that one voice, then we can make a difference.
And it's a damn fine voice, because it's Carmen Cheng, and we love her, and she's on this.
Well, it's not about me, it's about our collective.
And been on since day one. So I think now is a good time to reflect on the past year. We've had a lot of conversations. We've done a lot on Eat North Variety Pack in the past year. And thank you to you, Mairlyn and Carmen, for sticking with me for this, because it's definitely been a journey. But one other person that we've had on the show to start with last year was Mike Green, who is a food writer based in Winnipeg. He works for the tourism board there and knows the food scene in Manitoba inside and out. And he was with us legitimately on day one for the very first episode. So I thought for our anniversary, we should show a little clip, or I don't know, like a highlight reel, we'll say, of the first episode when I was trying to fiddle around with the computer while hosting the show. So we're going to show that for a minute or so, and then we're going to chat with Mike. All right, we are live. It's happening.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Eat North Variety Pack, which is our new weekly live streaming talk show. So forgive us if we have some hiccups throughout the show. We're just trying our best to make it work. I'm here with the one and only Mairlyn Smith. Hello, Mairlyn.
Hello, my darling.
How are you?
You know what? We're hanging in there. Scott and I have been holed up in the house for going on 12 days, and I haven't actually killed him yet. So I think that's a really good step forward. We're actually having a lot of fun doing goofy stuff in the house and taping them, and because we're both actors, so we're using our creativity and doing a bunch of goofy stuff.
I am loving following your social feeds. You guys are having a lot of fun at home. I feel like my partner here is pretty close to killing me. I'm not sure. I've sort of barricaded myself in this room, so hopefully we can get through the full show. I think this is going to be a fun format and an interesting show for people to hear a little bit about current events, but also, learn some tricks in the kitchen and just have some interesting conversations, really.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. When you asked me, I went, yes. So we're going to do this. We are going in your face. Go.
And it's going to be awesome. So should we meet our two other co-hosts and panelists for today? Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to bring them on.
Da, da.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Sorry, Carmen, you go first.
Oh, no, I'm here.
Okay, well, wasn't that a fun clip of the show?
Well, I still haven't killed Scott, so that's a really good song.
I feel like my partner hasn't left me either, so maybe we're not doing too bad for 1 year into the pandemic. Mike, it's so great to see you. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for
Hi.
that.
It's great to see you. So, firstly, I want to address we didn't boot you off the variety pack format, but you did you had a baby, so you were busy. So we had to let DP Harris step in. But how's it been in Winnipeg for the past year? I mean, that's a very loaded question. So maybe how's life? Let's start with that.
I was going to say the baby was actually almost born right where you were watching that last clip in the dining room of our rental house we were at. So it was the baby number 2 came fast.
Mm-hmm.
So since that, it's been full on. He's 9 months old now. He just went to bed about 20 minutes ago, and our almost 4-year-old is still up with us right now.
Awesome, cool, and we do love Seb. If he makes an appearance, that's great. But let's talk about your work with the tourism board. You run a website called pegcitygrub.com, and it's sort of an anomaly in Canada actually, because I don't think any other tourism board actually has a food blog that is as popular as the one you run in Winnipeg, but you keep tabs on everything to do with the city. So when the pandemic first set in and restaurants had to close and shift to takeout and whatnot, what was your primary focus with running that website?
Yeah, as soon as that happened, we just switched everything over to immediately creating takeout guides and then reaching out to restaurants and to just build the largest database that we really could. And we still have the largest one in the city. That just lists every single restaurant we know of, goes to all their social media, does their phone number. So you can actually use it as a straight like takeout guide if you actually go to the eat section on the Tourism Winnipeg website. So we had a bunch of people working on that right when it happened. And then for guides, we just kept doing takeout guide after takeout guide. And the crazy thing was, though, before you're like looking at more of a national and international audience like in the area, but our website hits have been actually really good throughout the pandemic, which is kind of weird to say while everything else has been nosediving, because your local audience does end up embracing it that more, and you kind of become a bit more of the authority on where to go to eat within your own city.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I think eNorth also saw a massive spike, especially initially when the pandemic first hit. In terms, I think people were locked at home and they couldn't go anywhere. So like, well, I guess I'll read pegcitygrub.com or eatnorth.com.
Yeah, and like for us too, because it's always we always try and cover positive stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
absolutely.
As a bureau, you don't cover the doom and gloom and everything. So you're always looking for nice stories or people who are exceeding or people who need to help out and stuff like that. So it's rewarding in that sense too to create articles.
For sure. On that note, Mike, I want to know, just because it's been a year since we've seen you, but here in Alberta, we've seen some really awesome ideas or innovation happen out of COVID. What have you seen in the food scene in Winnipeg that's been really cool and that people have really taken to?
Yeah, for sure. Like a lot of cities, the ghost kitchen thing really took over in March. And I think it really snowballed even more so throughout the summer. Like Winnipeg kind of reopened in the summer. We had next to no cases. So all the patios were open. Restaurants were operating at 50% or whatnot. But then since we had our second lockdown, the amount of options you get on that now are just exponential. And we've had some really hilarious ones. I think it really snowballed, like very good too. A great choice is it's called Cosmos Space Cowboy Cantina. And so one of the chefs used to be a deer nomin, and he's done a bunch of other stuff. And then he opened it with his cousin, and his cousin would actually normally be one of the 2 mains in the Book of Mormon in the Australian, New Zealand touring production. So as soon as it got shut down in Australia, he moved back to Winnipeg, and now they're creating like stoner food. It's totally like stoner food.
Oh, wow.
Their Instagram account is just hilarious in the way they advertise stuff. So it's become popular. And then like a lot of like really good bakers who were before baking at bakeries and whatnot and didn't have their name out. So they've kind of branched out and done kind of their own side business. There's one called Sunshine Bagels. And so she does bagels. There's no holes in these bagels. So they're controversial, I suppose, in that. But they've been great. And then like a lot of another one is just like the amount of local makers, like chefs who either maybe got laid off or the hours weren't there, who have started their own kind of like condiment companies or very like niche items. Great one that we've been doing here is called Made by Paste. She does handmade pastas. It's Renee Girard. She used to be at Hearth. She was covered in the Globe and Mail for one of Canada's best young chefs. And so now she's got this direct pasta business, but her sauces are just amazing.
Wow. When it's safe, I can't wait to go to Winnipeg.
We'll welcome you with open arms one of the
Open spaced out arms, I guess.
Yeah, open spaced out arms.
Well, Carmen, you've been to Winnipeg once before, and I know you had a whirlwind tour of the city. But have you ever, in the past year, have you watched on social media and seen something that you really want to go back to revisit, or something that you really need to check out?
Well, so I've been to Winnipeg a lot in the past when I worked just flying all across Canada, but then there was a period of time where I didn't go, and the last time I went was right before, well, I think in 2019 with you, Dan, and it was so awesome to see just how cool the food scene is, and especially in the area with like a lot of the heritage buildings, and got a bit of a tour there, and I guess for me it's just seeing, it felt like there was a tremendous growth over a period of time. And the food hall was a great example of that. And I think there was a new food hall that was opening. It's like right before the pandemic. And I would love to go back just to see how, that's going and visit. Like Clementine's is my favorite. We were there, and I can't wait till the day I can go back and have some of their food.
Yeah, I think that's the consensus for a lot of Winnipeggers, and particularly the one you were just mentioning too. Hargrave Street Market was the one that literally opened up. Like not this past November, but the November before, everyone was gung-ho about the hockey playoffs and everything, and then complete shutdown. So looking forward to when we return to normalcy and you can see that place packed again, because it's just such a gem of a spot right downtown.
So I'm a big fan of Clementine's too. I've had brunch there several times, and every time I go, my God, this is like the best. Right, so the best. I'm sure you've done a lot of takeout. Give me your top 2 takeouts for the year.
Yeah, I gotta say, we actually just had Clementine last month. We just started like this crazy diet where we're not doing any like booze, sugar, carbs, all this stuff. Anyways, before we started that though, we went buck wild. Last brunch, Clementine was just unbelievable. Like it was the same thing. You could barely eat the food hot because you keep looking at each other and like saying how good it is. And my 3-year-old was like eating the burger, which is like his mind was blown. And then right before that too, because we really wanted to carb up because we weren't doing gluten this month. And then the meal we had from Pissarro at the Forks, it was just phenomenal. Their handmade pastas are so good now. They do small plates, obviously. And the one dish that surprises me that seems to go well in a takeout container is beef tartare. So we were always between ordering it there or from Inoteca. That was kind of like our jam to get us through the winter.
Wow. Okay, so what is your so you've been writing all these feel-good stories, and I really appreciate that. I mean, my whole year on Instagram has been like, let's all look at the positive. Your favorite positive feel-good story from what you've been writing this year?
Yeah, I think it's got to be what Ben Kramer and Harold have been doing with Made with Love. The fact that it started with them just collecting food that was going to go to waste immediately when the pandemic happened. And then now it's snowballed into they're getting so many private donors and corporate donations and stuff. And they just keep knocking out meals and feeding the needy every week. And like doing this on top of like what I assume is their regular catering gigs and stuff too. Like it's a very selfless act. We shot a nice video with him, and he's working like along. His daughter is working with him right now, and it's cute. And just the people that they've had helping out in the kitchen. And then another great one is we kind of have our own little Amazon here called local.ca. We'll put the link up. But yeah, it's Avi Khan from Green Carrot Juice and from Shawarma Khan. So he started this business. And at first it was just like Winnipeg local products, like the mitts or whatever for Christmas shopping. But then a lot of local makers and a lot of food producers have been using it too. So it's a great option for like ordering food to your door for you to prepare at home.
So one of my favorite feel-good stories was your wife just crawled behind you. Freaking awesome. Yeah.
It was Seb's time for bed, so I think she was trying to wake gracefully.
Mike,
how different has it been with a baby during COVID versus like your firstborn that was, you had your firstborn before COVID?
Yeah, well, like the one weird thing is because our office was open for a bit during the summer and then shut down again for lockdown. But like in a lot of ways, like as a dad, especially as a new dad, like it's been great in the sense that I've been home every day with both kids. So like I still work from home Monday to Friday. And they're still here. We don't have a home office, so I'm at the dining room table. So you just get to spend that much more time with your kids. And especially with the new baby, just being able to see like every single step of development. It's not like before you would like come back from the office and be like, oh my God, the baby's standing and holding himself up on something. Whereas like now you get like see all those things. Except for now when he tries to climb the stairs because
I love
9 months old to slow down.
Mike, before we let you go, I have one last question for you. You've spent years living in Vancouver before coming back to Winnipeg and grew up in Kenora. You'll agree with me, a lot of Canadians seem adverse to experiencing certain parts of Canada, and I feel like Winnipeg is one of them. But I feel like, as an outsider looking in, now that I've obviously fallen in love with Winnipeg over the past, I guess, 8 years of my life, there are just so many amazing things. I mean, recently there was a festival called Gorge Festival, which is this large-scale queer/drag performer geared festival that happened last weekend thanks to Synonym Art Consultation. Do you think Winnipeg is just okay being Canada's best kept secret? Because I feel like this city is honestly amazing, and I would love to live there. And I just feel like a lot of people just don't ever want to give it the time of day.
Yeah, like I feel like that way too. When we moved here 10 years ago, it was kind of like that, lower on the radar, right? But then we had a bunch of like, would drive as large world-class attractions have started. And even now, like How My Art at the Winnipeg Art Gallery just opened today. Actually, I guess the official opening is tomorrow to the public. So we see a lot of international media coverage with that. But yeah, like I feel as though Winnipeg is kind of fine in where it is. Like it's not, it's not a place where people are always walking around saying, "Oh, the best," kind of thing. It's like everyone's fine with like I think where we're positioned. All of our visitors who come here, they immediately find out like we do have amazing restaurants. Our art scene has always been renowned between the Royal Winnipeg Ballet and what have you. And obviously the Jets are a huge thing locally for everybody, and we love those images on TV when we see them from the Tourism Bureau, Tourism Winnipeg, of like street parties and stuff, and that's happening. But yeah, it's one of those things. I think it'll still keep going and going. But like I think we're happy with our niche, kind of like half hipstery, half creative, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And to all the haters in Vancouver and Toronto, your winters suck too. So.
And we had a great winter. It was only cold for like 2 weeks in February.
You know what? We're in Canada. Winter sucks everywhere. So. And on that note, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for chatting with us, Mike. It's great to see you, and hopefully to see you in person sometime soon this summer.
For sure. It's great seeing everybody again.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. See you.
Ciao.
Oh, that was a fun conversation.
I miss Clementine's. I want to go back. I love Winnipeg.
I want to say we should all go on a road trip together, but I guess we'd have to like pick up Mairlyn way further than Winnipeg and then go back, which I'm totally down for. So if you're into it, I'm into it.
I'm into it. Okay.
Maybe in the fall?
Yeah, let's do it. We should hopefully all have vaccinations by then. So let's cross our fingers. But yeah, it's great. Anyway, I bring this up a lot, but Winnipeg is an amazing city. You two both know that. And I hope people out there go experience Winnipeg because it truly is so culturally vibrant and culinarily, is that a word? Who knows? I'm making it a word today, and it is culinarily vibrant. So you need to also check it out for that. Right. And now we are going to hear an acoustic performance from our upcoming guest, Olivia Rose. I almost said Olivia Gold, but the song's called Gold. It's her current single. She's going to play it for us acoustically, and then we're going to chat with her a bit after.
Stuck in my mind, you run through my veins.
Amazing job, Olivia.
Thank you. Hi,
Fantastic.
everybody. Nice to see you all.
Hello.
So nice to see you too. I mean, I know your last name obviously because you've played Blue Jay Sessions before, but I always think Gold is
No,
like, no,
you're not-
it's Rose.
not the first
Gold
person
is the song.
Done that. Don't worry.
Okay, well now
Other
I feel much better. Thank you very much. But yeah, let's talk. So Gold is your first single in 2 years. So why the 2-year break?
Yeah.
I mean, the pandemic is probably explains 1 year of it. But I just wonder, like, this 2 years of creative process. What's behind that?
Yeah, totally. So actually, my last single, Put It Like That, and this one were recorded at the same time. So I
Okay.
had both of them in my back pocket for as long as I kind of wanted to. So then I released Put It Like That, and I ran with it for quite a long time because it was still doing so well on radio and Spotify. It kept getting added to Spotify editorial playlists and stuff like that, which was great. And then when I was supposed to release Gold, the pandemic hit, and I was supposed to actually be on tour in Ontario, doing shows, doing a radio tour because I've had so much incredible support from Ontario. And then that all didn't happen, and I was also supposed to record a live video for it, and some people got sick in my family, and so things musically took a break for a couple of months, and then I came back swinging with let's just do it how we can do it right now in this world state. And so I was able to make a gorgeous lyric video with Juliana, who of course you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been able to do lots of stuff like this, which is really great because I get to talk to people that I might not necessarily be able to travel to. Obviously you're only in Calgary, but you know what I mean.
But you're still not allowed to come here, so.
No, not anymore, not right now. Soon.
But no, Gold is a wonderful song. Like you said, Put It Like That obviously got a lot of traction. It's over, I think, 120,000 streams or more on Spotify, which is an amazing feat. So congratulations on that. But looking back with all these roadblocks and challenges in the past year, has it changed you as a musician, or has it made you look at music or songwriting in a different way?
Oh, totally. I think this pandemic really hit a lot of musicians,
Mm-hmm.
or all musicians especially, very, very hard. I had to stop performing, which was my part-time job, and that kind of got sad. I love performing live, and I'm such a bubbly, outgoing person. I love being around people, and so I actually really turned to songwriting during the pandemic. Originally, I don't mind saying this now, I did not love songwriting as much as I thought I should. It made me very nervous, made me question my own abilities. But I've had the great opportunity to write with some really incredible songwriters during this pandemic, and it's really bumped up my songwriting ego and makes me feel capable of writing really, really great songs. And so I've really turned to songwriting a lot in these past couple, these past couple months.
Past couple 1 million years, yeah.
Yeah.
So would you say that, like I'm a writer, and I find that I can work out what I'm feeling, or what I'm upset about when I write? Is that how you're using your songwriting, right? Like, are you writing songs based on what you're going through, or are you writing songs from another place?
A little bit of both. I've really liked doing the really creative storytelling songwriting to kind of give myself a break from what I'm going through right now and put that all on a character in a song. But I've also been writing some personal stuff kind of about what I'm going through. Gold, obviously it was written quite a while ago, is really personal to me. And so I do like writing those types of songs. But it is very nice to kind of take a break from all the reality that's going on, even if it's for an hour or two, to write a story about someone else's life,
I love that. I love that you're doing that. There's very wise words there, my girl.
Oh, thank you very much.
So Olivia, I creeped you on Instagram before the show, and you had one post that made me chuckle where you talked about like when a reviewer likes your song. And I've heard lots of stories, and I've talked to lots of chefs about like food reviews, and I'm curious how the process works from a music perspective. Like, do you get a heads up? Do you know what's coming out?
Usually we tend to work with people that want to work with us, so hopefully they actually enjoy your music and they're not trying to be cynical. But to be in any type of industry like this, that you're putting yourself out there, you have to have a tough skin, and you have to be able to take the word no. And I've noticed it a lot. Well, now I'm working with a publicist for my very first time during Gold, Nova Current, and Jasper is amazing. But he's asked me, do you want to hear the feedback the song's getting? And I was like, well, of course I do. That'll make me a better musician, songwriter. And he's like, okay, some musicians don't want to hear the feedback, so just making sure you're okay with it. And I think that's something that I've had a tough time dealing with growing up. I have 4 older sisters, so I kind of have to have a little bit of a tough skin. They'll tell you I have no tough skin at all. But when it comes to my music, yeah, I do appreciate the feedback, because I honestly believe that without constructive criticism, you're not going to be able to better yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like you should teach this mentality or approach to chefs when I review restaurants.
I'll do a TED Talk.
Because I think there's many a chef out there that does not love me, but who knows? Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. Olivia, last question before we let you go. Do you have anything else in the pipeline for 2021, aside from hopefully performing for people in real life?
Well, as I've been saying, I've been doing a lot of songwriting, and doing a full album has been something that has been a dream of mine ever since I was really little. And so I'm starting to work to get together some songs, and hopefully a factor grant that'll go through in the fall to write a studio album. So it's still pretty far down the pipeline, but you can definitely expect some singles from that, a full album, and hopefully a tour once that's out.
Yeah, we can all dream. I would love to get in the car and go somewhere, anywhere really. I'll go Edmonton, Saskatoon, doesn't matter. Winnipeg, I'll go anywhere.
I'll go anywhere. Yeah. Winnipeg.
Done. Anyway, Olivia, great to see you. Great chatting with you, and a beautiful new song, Gold, out everywhere, and doing quite well on the streaming platforms already. So wishing you much success with that.
Thank you so much, you guys. It was an honor to be here tonight. Thank you.
Nice to see you. And that brings us to the end of another episode of Eat North Variety Pack. Thank you all for watching tonight, and thank you to my lovely co-hosts, Carmen, Cheng, Mairlyn Smith. We will see you at the same time next week, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't hit that button yet. We'll see you next week.
Eat North Variety Pack. Food and friends with Canada's best. From east to west, there and back. Eat North Variety Pack. 'Cause variety's the spice of life.